Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1157, written by Anonymous 1378-1378. Kitchen evidence of universal instability. My boyfriend and I got home around 2:30 a.m. after going to a concert. I was sober. He was relatively sober, 3 drinks. We were both hungry, so we decided to boil water for pasta and saute some spinach, a relatively quick meal to make. We had a gas range stovetop in our previous apartment. I put on a pot of water for the pasta and turned on the gas on that jet. The water starts to boil after a bit. I then grab another large pot for the spinach and put quite a bit of oil in the pot to prepare to saute it. I remember looking at the oil in the pan and wondering if I would need more for the spinach. I turn away as my boyfriend did something silly, I don't know what, and as I turn back to the jet to turn it on, he just goes, "Wait, no, stop!" I look at him confused, and he points to the jet. All of the oil seeped through the bottom of the pan, onto the stovetop, which I was about to ignite. It would have turned into a horrendous grease fire, and I would probably have been badly burned. We were really weirded out by this, and put the pan aside, and cleaned the jet. We figured there must have been a hairline crack in the pan that caused it to leak out. So the next morning, I grabbed the pan and put water in it. Surely, if oil seeped through it due to a hairline crack, water would pour out of the bottom of the pan. Here's the thing, nothing happened. Water stayed in the pan. We even put oil in it again to check. Same thing, nothing leaked out of the bottom. We're still not sure what happened that night. Case notes for file 1157, kitchen evidence of universal instability. So indeed pasta, penne, with spicy fire-roasted tomato marinara sauce is my go-to lazy meal. It's so good. I actually add some Impossible ground beef to it, and I add some cayenne pepper as well. I like really spicy food, as you can probably tell. The effort to deliciousness ratio is almost infinity. So good. It's not the most filling meal, but it's incredibly delicious. Now, as per the glitch, I don't think you can frame this any other way than the actual mass in the pan losing cohesion. The molecular bonds holding the atoms together either lost electromagnetic charge, so the molecules of oil could simply flow right through. Remember that most of what we are, what we call mass, is still empty space. How would this loss of cohesion work, though? It's never, to my knowledge, been observed in scientific tests, which leads me to speculate that there's a certain intent involved. Because if not, we would see it in scientific observations. There has to be some block that prevents it, at least when people are directly observing. And it comes back to that so often, doesn't it? If we observe something, it affects it. I mean, literally, you have to observe something, the light has to bounce off of it. But it's more than just that. I think there's a play in sentience, because light was bouncing off the pan when it lost cohesion. So there's an element of sentience to this, I think. I wonder if a spirit could affect this, temporarily bringing some of the mass of the kitchen pot into its own phase. So it's out of phase in the real world, or the world of the living. But why would they do that? It's an idea, but honestly, I'm not sure. Case file number 1158, written by laurensmim, the Keychain Anomaly. 3 years ago, my now ex worked in a small mom-and-pop restaurant with the 2 owners and 2 employees. One day, Donna, one of the owners, opened a package that had 2 small Japanese stress relief keychains that were pea pods, and when you squeezed them, peas with faces would pop out. She gave one to both employees because she just thought they looked kinda neat when she saw them on Amazon. About a year, maybe 14 months after that, he quit working for them. This is important. I had put the toy in its original package covered in Japanese characters all over it, and put that on the shelf. He and I divorced about a year and a half ago. 4 months ago, I got my daughter back from about 309 miles away. One of her first days here, she asked me if she could take the pea pod out and put it on a keychain. I said, why not? Here's the glitch. One evening, after looking under the couch for the remote, I wound up losing my lighter between the cushions on the couch. I move over and lift up the cushion to retrieve my lighter, and when I lift up the cushion corner, I see something green. I lift the couch cushions to see what it is, and it is a small pea pod keychain. I go to my daughter in the kitchen and hand it to her, thinking she had got it lost. But no, she goes and gets hers and shows it to me. It had since been moved off her keychain, but is snugly secured to a phone case. We looked at each other in confusion, and when we squeezed it, the exact same worn out and identical P's pop up. We cannot figure out how an identical keychain about 3 years ago could be laying right under the corner of a couch cushion that is frequently lifted up. The one that was a replica lost any chance of ever getting mixed up and winding up here. It was lost over 2 years ago, and then really lost when he left 18 months ago. I have literally zero explanation for this carbon copy of a keychain to be in my apartment, let alone right under the couch cushion. If anyone has any ideas, I'm open to them. Case notes of file 1158. The Keychain Anomaly. I agree that, per the description, those look very neat. A cool Secret Santa idea for this year. The only explanation I can offer is one that I often offer here, is that there's a certain lost and found that exists in the multiversal sense. When you start to understand this, reality feels a bit more unstable, true, but also more interesting, I would say. Things can go missing, and they can just reappear randomly. Maybe spirits are involved, but I think usually it's just the universe misplacing things. There's information in the server and it's trying to computate everything, but sometimes it loses track. Things get jumbled together, misplaced, mismatched, and it also applies across the entire multiverse, not just a single universe, which means the amount of data being processed is unimaginable. Creepy file number 94, written by TidyWhiteys37, A Night of Shadows in the Closet. I lived in an old apartment in 2002. The place was built in 1900, so it was just over 100 years old when I moved in. The living room and kitchen were fine, but the bathroom and bedroom were unnerving. Like I just always felt like I was being watched, especially in the bedroom if the closet door was open. Those unnerving feelings just became moderately uncomfortable as I settled in. I felt safe in the bedroom, but only if the door was locked. One night, I was dead asleep when there was a loud bang on my bedroom door. When I got up the courage to get out of bed, I checked the apartment and all the windows were closed and locked from the inside. The door still had the chain secured. No one was in there. I mentioned the closet in the bedroom. I never liked going in there, and I never liked it if the door was open. For some reason in my head, I would hear gasping noises. So for that reason, the closet stayed closed. A month or more after I was woken to the bang on my door, I was dead asleep. But something woke me up, and it was a pressure on me like being held down. It was pitch black in my room. I couldn't see anything, but I knew someone was standing over me. When I could finally turn on a bedside lamp, no one was there. After that, I couldn't sleep in the dark. I had to sleep with the lamp on. That incident scared the life out of me, and after that, the unnerving feeling of being watched intensified. Friends would come over and comment on being uncomfortable in the bathroom like being watched. It became so uncomfortable for me that when I had the chance to move to another unit, I jumped at it. I packed up and got out. After me, several people rented the apartment, and they would move out within months. I became friendly with the building manager and told him that I felt the place was haunted. He kind of laughed it off. Years later, they were renovating the place. The building manager was doing some painting there, and the building owner was there too. I went and checked out the apartment, and it looked nicer. It didn't feel as creepy. I got to talking with the building owner, and through the course of conversation, he just threw it out that a former tenant had ended their journey in the closet. He also mentioned that the original designer of the building lived in that apartment and died there. I wasn't mad when I heard that, but felt validated that what I experienced was real. Case notes for the Creepy File 94, A Night of Shadows in the Closet. It's clear to me in my readings that certain areas occupy a negative force in the universe. If this is drawn from general malaise of what occurred there before, like someone ending their journey there, or actual spirits, it's not always clear. But I'm not sure it's possible to truly cleanse an area. The only solution is to move away. And thankfully, it's not like this negative energy lingers on people who pass through it. As soon as you clear the area, the cloud of negative energy lifts away. Maybe if you're in that area, that negatively charged area for a long amount of time, maybe then it'll linger and almost like infect your soul, but it takes a long time. People who are affected by this, who just pass on through entire towns that are affected by this, they don't report any lingering, lasting effects. So that's good at least, And now time for the quote of the day. Here's something to think about. How come you never see a headline like, "Psychic wins the lottery"? Jay Leno. Yeah, and actually, there's a pretty simple explanation to this in my mind, in that psychics, it's not so much an ability that's consciously willed, at least in the stories I've read. It's that some people are more, the link between the subconscious and the conscious is more open and flows more freely, so more information from the subconscious passes through. And the subconscious has access to all the information that's floating out there and can decode it and then transmit it to the conscious. Of course, the mechanism for that, it's not a willed effect, it's just whatever the subconscious ends up doing. We're just the host receiver that's connected to the body, but we don't really decide what the subconscious does. That's its own beast. So anyways, people who have this link that's more connected between the two regions, they have access to more information. But when that occurs, and what information it is random. It's not really in their control. They're people that, I guess, are blessed and cursed with more knowledge, but it's random knowledge. They don't control when they receive it. Besides, also, even if you could control it, you wouldn't go around advertising that I'm a psychic, I can win the lot. The government would pull up and, have you tested and committed, or probably just test you. So keep that quiet if there are psychics out there that can control their ability. Shh. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.